Good morning.
Morning.
Welcome back, friends. I'm Alicia, and I have a new guest today. This is
Miss Finney from the high school librarian, here to talk to you guys really quickly today. Hi,
awesome.
everybody.
So, I do have questions for you because, that's my thing. My first question is I've been hearing a lot about like people going on and finding their schedules or
Mhm.
their grades. Can you tell us like how we can do that as students?
Sure. Yeah. So, what we need to do, and I know you're going to get my little screen up there, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, we're going to read your mind, Miss Finney.
Awesome. Now that we've done Inception and you saw a million of the same screens. So, basically, to check your schedule and how you're going to check, your assignments, all that other stuff throughout the year, you need to log into what's called Campus Student. So to get to Campus Student, you can either go directly to the district page here, millville.org, or you can go to your school page from here. And all you need to do is scroll down under quick links and find where it says student/parent portal. So you can get to both student and parent portal here. But when you click that, it's going to open up a new tab for you. You can also do this on your phone using the mobile app. And what you want to do is you want to click Campus Student. So once you click that, it's going to take you to the login screen. And so this is where you're going to enter the username you have, which is your student ID, and the password you're going to be given by your school. So you may have gotten this on paper already. You may have had it emailed to you. If you haven't gotten it, you may still be getting it from your school soon. So once you have that information, all you need to do is type that in here and log in, and you're good to go.
Awesome. I think I saw on that website with all the different resources. I think
Mhm.
we covered like how we can get our grades and our schedules and stuff from here too. And that website is in the description, but it's tinyurl.com/MPS help at home. So I really appreciated that one. And now I do have another question for you because you are a library media specialist. We're doing all this like research and learning online. Something like I have a hard time with is like determining like what's a good source or where to go for good sources. And I was wondering if you had any tips for us.
Yes, I do. And I magically came prepared with a little slideshow for you guys. So just really quick, and I'll run through this quick. I don't know if you guys are a fan of Fall Guys game, but I am. So I'm letting them help me today. And what I'm going to do is just introduce you to something called the 5Ws. So this is a way for when you're looking for information online, if your teacher has you doing it for an assignment or for a paper, depending on what they give you, it's going to help you decide what's good information and what maybe you want to pass on to use for your assignment. So the 5Ws means we don't fall for bad information like Fall Guys. I hope you all love my puns today. When we talk about information, like I said, so this is anything that you're finding on the internet. So I know back in the day, we were limited to our library shelves and we still love books and we still love all that stuff. But now we have websites, we have blogs, we have YouTube videos, sometimes we even get our information from social media. Sometimes that's a starting point. So this is stuff that your teacher wants you to find on your own. And that means you need to be the judge of what's good to use and what you should maybe not use. So the 5Ws is just 5 questions you're going to ask yourself. And these should be very familiar questions. They're who, what, when, where, and why. So very, very familiar. And my man Peabody's going to help me out here. So when we ask who, the question we are asking is basically these 3 on your screen right now. So we want to know who created the information. So who's the author? And so I have my little Wikipedia thing up there on the top because one of the problems with Wikipedia, and I love it, but this is the question we can't answer sometimes when we're looking at Wikipedia. We don't know who put the information there because so many people are contributing, and some of it's great and some of it's not so great. So we want to know too, if we're looking at a website, is there a biography? So is there information about who the author is? And we want to know also, who is the author trying to talk to? Because sometimes when you find information online, it's great, but the author might be speaking to other professionals in the field. It might be really hard to read. It might be really technical. So maybe it's not good for you to use for school because they're really not talking to you as a student. So sometimes we just need to think about who the person is and who they're supposed to be talking to. So that's who. So when it comes to what, we want to look at, obviously, what information is there. So if we're looking at a website, what information are we seeing on the page and what's not being included? So if you're doing a lot of looking around on the internet and you're noticing that maybe you found a website that only tells one side of a story or it doesn't really give you enough information to understand what they're talking about, you maybe want to put that one aside and find something that's a little more, explanatory, has a little bit more to it. And when we ask what, we also want to know what the purpose is. So this might not be a question that we think about when we look at stuff online, but when we talk about purpose, we want to know, what's the reason why this exists? Is it out here to share information? Like something like Wikipedia is out there to give information. Or is it, maybe they're trying to sell something. Maybe it's comedy. So maybe we're looking at something and we might think it's good information, but maybe it actually isn't. Maybe it's all for the purposes of, making people laugh, entertaining people. So maybe they're not so serious, and we need to take that into consideration. So we also want to think about, why is this out there? So when? This is a big question for when we are looking at information for something where we need very, very up-to-date information. So we want to know either when was the website or the content, if it's a video or something like that, when was it created, when was it posted, look at the date. And if it's something like a website, we want to look at also when's the last time they updated it. So we want to make sure that if the information about a topic you're looking at has changed, or maybe the context, which means, the way that we understand that information has changed based on, things that have happened recently, we want to make sure that the information we're reading on this website has also changed and updated so that we're getting the most accurate. The one thing that this might not apply to, I have my little history thing up in the corner, is if it's historical information. So there are some things where we look at it and there may be new discoveries, new things uncovered, but a lot of the times that stays the same. So some information you can be okay with, but if it's something that's very recent or still happening, it's a good idea to make sure that you're looking at stuff that's been updated recently. And where? So when we ask where, we want to know where they got their information from. So just to make this understandable, so every website you look at, everything that's posted on social media, unless there's something like a news reporter or someone that's actually witnessing something happening or putting down the details, like in a primary source, they had to get that information from somewhere else. So we want to know where they got that information from. And that's called sources. So we want to know what their sources are. So we want to know also where else does this information show up. So when you're looking for stuff online, if you find one website, it's a good idea to find at least one or two others that have the same information, so that you know that they're all telling the same story, they're all giving you the same facts, and that way you can feel a little bit more confident about the information that you're seeing there. So it's always good to know those two things. And when we ask why, it's just something you want to ask yourself. If you're finding really great stuff online and it's really interesting and you're enjoying reading it, just also make sure that you're not getting far away from what your teacher wants you to do. So you want to know, why is this information useful for my project? Does this actually answer the question that I was given? Does this help me write my paper? Is this something useful? Why should I use this information? So sometimes, even though websites and videos, and we all fall down that YouTube hole, can be really interesting, sometimes they're not really right for the project or assignment that you're doing. And you want to put those ones aside because, again, they can be interesting, but maybe they're not exactly what you need. And you want to make sure you stay focused on what you're finding. And that is basically the 5 W's. I know I ran through that really quickly, but that's going to help you understand what you're looking at online, what's good to you.
That's really helpful. And then I have one more question for you.
Yep.
So also with working online, I just want to, do you have any tips for avoiding plagiarism?
Plagiarism. Oh, I know. So the thing about plagiarism, I know that's a big scary word. A lot of times what I see is students, I don't think anyone really sets out to plagiarize intentionally. I think sometimes we do it by accident because we find really good stuff. We want to get that stuff and we want to use it, like I said. So if you ask that why question and you realize, oh, this is really, really good for my assignment, I want to use this, that's great. That's just the first step, though. So you want to make sure that when you are using that information in your paper, your project, that you are doing what I said all the websites should do, and you're answering that where question. You want your teacher to know where you got that information. Because as much as I would love to claim to be an expert on every topic under the sun, even when I do presentations for teachers or students, I always put my sources because I don't know everything. And I want them to be able to see where I got information. So if they want to look into it themselves, they can learn a little bit more. So you always need to show where you got it. And your teacher can really help you out in terms of how you're supposed to show them how they want you to do that. So always tell them more about it.
Thank you so much, Miss Vinny. I learned a lot, and I'm going to start asking those 5 Ws as I navigate the World Wide Web. I really appreciate you being here. And then everyone watching either live or later, tomorrow we're going to be talking about logging into Google and organizing your drive. So more very important stuff to add to your toolkit for the new school year. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you, Miss Vinny.
Thanks for having me.